Today we're working on my 2013 Mazda 3 Skyactiv. This is kind of my daily / budget autocross car. I've had it for 7 years now. It has 105,000 miles and recently it's developed a knock in suspension. So I just wanted to take you guys kind of top to bottom diagnosing suspension issues and show you guys how I personally like to approach figuring out what's wrong with your suspension when it starts making funny noises. So as I mentioned before, the suspension's making a knocking sound, and it's actually gotten pretty bad recently. It's gotten bad enough that I can actually make the noise without even having the car driving. I can just jump up and down on the shocks and make a clicking sound. So listen carefully and you'll hear it. You guys hear that sound? So obviously that's not supposed to happen. I've already checked the some of the bolts on the suspension. Damn. Just to give you guys some context when driving it, and actually driving it, I'm going to take it for a little spin and show you guys noise this thing is actually making. So, damn. So it's bad. Okay, so that if you guys are having the same problem, you can kind of compare it and go through the actual process that I've been going through, mentally at least, and my logic of figuring out what's actually wrong, and the way that a lot of mechanics will figure out what's wrong when your suspension's clunking around. I want to talk a little bit too about the way the car is set up. Right now it's on Teen S-Tech lowering springs. It's lowered about 2 inches, and it's on Coney STR shocks that I just put in. Before that it had Coney yellows on it, which blew actually. So just before this, I put on the Coney STRs about a month ago, as well as new mounts for the top of the struts in the front. Those I believe are not the issue, obviously, because they're brand new and I use relatively good quality parts. You know, obviously it's a matter of opinion. I think Coney makes good stuff. I've had good experience with them. But yeah, so that's the story of the suspension. And the knocking noise appeared or maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's gotten worse over time. And I wanted to show you guys too a little bit about diagnosing, or starting to diagnose, suspension issues while we're here on the road. Let's start from the top with the strut mounts. If the strut mounts are bad, they'll make a clunking noise like a lot of other suspension things will. But the other thing you'll notice is that when you turn the wheel, it won't want to self-censor, or it'll feel really weird and inconsistent. This feels perfectly consistent, and again, it's expected because it's brand new. At least the strut mounts are brand new. And they'll usually make noise regardless of what way the wheels are pointed. Same thing goes for the lower control arm bushings. You can also just visually inspect those if you put it up on a jack and look and see if they're torn up. These look fine to me when I looked at them, so I don't think that's the issue. Anyways, the struts, next to the struts, right? Next down from the top hat, it will be the struts. So the struts, are bad because, one, if they're blown, you'll see them leaking oil, which is a dead giveaway that they're bad. The other thing you'll see is that while you're driving the car will feel floaty. I noticed especially in this car, the back of it, when the Coneys blew, I had 3 blown shocks when I replaced it. On that, only one was okay. And the car felt like a boat when you went over bumps. So that's a dead giveaway. That and it's leaking oil, your shocks are bad. But in this case, they're brand new, they're not leaking oil. So that's not the issue. So we know it's not the lower control arm, not the strut mounts, not the struts themselves. That just leaves us with CV joints and the sway bar end links. So we're gonna go back into my garage here. We're gonna put it up on jack stands in the front, and I'll show you guys how to diagnose those issues. Alright, so now that we got the car up on jack here, we can see, first of all, we can visually inspect the seal for the top strut here. I'll give you guys a closer look. As you guys can see, looks pretty mint to me. No signs of oil leak, and again, while I'm driving it, there's no signs of floatiness or anything like that. So the next thing we're going to look at are I forgot to mention earlier actually, are the wheel bearings and the tie rod end links. So I'll show you guys how to check those. Those are very simple and quick. So in order to check the tie rod end links, all we're going to do is take the wheel on the left and right and try and shake it back and forth. You can see there's no play in this, so those are good. And then for the wheel bearings, same exact thing, but top and bottom of the wheel. And again, no play at all, so those look perfect. Alright, so now we got the wheel out the way, we can go and look more into the other parts of the suspension and the drivetrain. We can see, in my case, it's a front wheel drive car, so I've got my CV joints and axles up front. If I wiggle them around to check for play, not much play at all. There's a little bit side to side, but that's usually typical for this kind of car. So I'm going to say that those are good. The next thing I'm going to check, like I mentioned before, so we know that the wheel bearings are good, tie rod endings are good, struts are good, strut mounts are good. That leaves us with the sway bar bushing, sway bar end links. So sway bar bushings from visual inspection look fine, but if we look at the sway bar itself, if I were to take, let's say, a torque wrench here, if I were to move it up and down, you'll hear a bit of noise. So we know now for sure that's a sway bar end link, but I'm not actually convinced that the sway bar end link is bad. If we look closely here, we'll see that the end link isn't even on tight enough. Not on tightly at all, actually. And this sounds exactly like the noise I've been hearing. We can see this mount here rubbing rubber all over the place, and so I think this guy actually is the culprit behind our noise. Sway bar itself feels okay. Sway bar end links at least feel okay. So I'm going to tighten that up and take it for a test drive and see if it fixes our issue. If it does, I'm going to feel like a major idiot, but hey, at least it saves me a bit of money not having to buy brand new links. I messed around too with this guy. Feel the ball joint, still feels pretty good. Don't feel any play in it, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's actually fine. And the fact that this was on loose was actually the cause of all my problems. And so now, just to make sure that this doesn't happen again, I'm gonna wire brush off all the rust on the threads, and I'm gonna hit it with some thread locker just to make sure that it doesn't come out again, hopefully. Alright, so car is back down. Let's take it for a test drive and see what happens. Alright, so time for a test drive. Let's see if our little tightening up that sway bar end link fixed our knocking issue. Oh, wait. Yeah, we're good. Alright. Knock on wood that the thread locker we put on will keep it from backing out again, but I think for now we're good to go. Oh yeah, and the steering was vibrating a little bit before. Not surprising, almost felt like something was loose. And now it doesn't feel like that anymore at all. Feels nice and tight like it did before. So, good day. I mean, figured out what was wrong. I feel like a bit of an idiot for saying it was a bad end link when in fact I just probably didn't torque down that bolt right. But we're good to go now. Thank you guys for watching. Hope that you found this video entertaining. Maybe it'll help you guys, if anything else, figure out what's wrong with your own suspension. So got plenty of other interesting projects that I'm excited to work on with some friends of mine. If you guys want to see more projects, more stuff like this, you know, quick DIY videos, time lapses, that kind of thing, make sure you're subscribed. And thank you all for watching if you have, and I will see you guys in the next video.